we'll go ahead and get started then. For those of you who don't know
Sure.
me, I'm Aubrey Herman, the Programs and Events Manager at the Glendale Chamber. Thanks for joining us. We're excited to learn a bit more about this trip to Greece. And just before we get started, just a few quick announcements. Vibe here will go through a presentation about 30, maybe 40 minutes, depending how it flows today. And then answer all the questions at the end. So feel free to either, write them down for yourself, or if you want to put them in the chat box, that probably would be the easiest. And then we'll just go through those all at the end. So if you wouldn't mind through the presentation, just keeping yourself on mute, just eliminate any background noise, and we will get through this smoothly. So with that, I will turn it over to Vibe. Thank you.
Thank you. Aubrey, I believe you are recording this session.
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is Vibe here, and I represent Aventura World, who is partnering with the Chamber for this trip in the fall for Greece. So yeah, my name is Vibe, and that's the short of a very traditional Indian name. So hope you will remember that one. Thank you for joining in. It's evening, and I know you would have some chores to do after this session is done. So I will try to be quick, snappy, and entertaining so that you don't feel sleepy. If you have any beverages, coffee, wine, anything of your choice, keep it handy and keep hydrated. And we will run through it smoothly. I will take questions towards the end because I use this term called as hold your horses, because you never know, your question might appear in the next slide that I pull up. Last and not the least, we are really excited that travel has come back. I am a bit tired. We have done this is the 9th presentation in last 1 week for Chamber trips. So after this, I do the next presentation in 2 weeks. So I have some breather for myself. So if my energy goes down, please pardon me. So here we go. For you to know more about us and what Aventura World is. So we are a leader in United States in group travel market. We have been in this business since 1972. So it's been quite a long journey that we have had, catering to specifically to groups all across US as well as in Canada. We are having offices in the East and the West Coast of US. I am currently based out in Vancouver, Canada. And we have offices in Paris, in Rome, in London, in New Delhi, and Cairo, Egypt. We are a member of a very large organization called as Sakara International Group, which actually holds various stakes in hotels, in cruise boats for river cruise boats, as well as lots of real estate properties in Europe and Egypt, as well as in North America. We are really excited that we have been endorsed for several years by the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives, which is popularly known as ACCE, of which a lot of chambers across the United States are member of. And because of this reach to chambers and offering travel since so many years, we bring a lot of value in the pricing. You'll see that there are so many inclusions in our trips, and the prices are amazing. Last and not the least, what we'll also like to stress upon is we are a company that changes with time. So we are nimble, we are innovative, we change with time according to what the COVID-19 situation offered us. And also, most importantly, we adapted. And I will come to a very specific slide, which I've reserved for this, to show how we have coped with this situation and how we have come out victorious. As I said, this is my 9th presentation in this week. So you can imagine there would have been days where I've done 2 presentations in a day, which surely is an indication that travel is coming back, with many people or the entire United States mostly likely to get its jabs by September, fingers crossed. And people would be traveling very soon, at least to destinations which are also equally prepared. So this session today is about one of our trips to Greece called as the Lands of God and Heroes. It departs from United States on the 6th of November and comes back on the 14th. However, there is an optional extension, which we'll talk about. So if you take that extension, you stay slightly further and come back a little later, but you're still well back home before your Thanksgiving. So Greece is known to be a country with great countryside. It has the Mediterranean style weather, amazing sights, and a lot of long coastline, and so much of history. History spanning centuries, I would say millennia. It is one of the classical civilizations we would have studied in school. It has a lot of culture and tradition, and if you talk to any person in Europe and you want to talk about 2 to 3 ancient civilizations, traditions in Europe, Greece would be on top over there. It has some world famous sites. It ranks in the world at number 3 for UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So there are so many amazing places to be seen and observed in this region. There's so many different influences of cultures and ancient trade routes that have brought in so many things all through the time of history in this country. Great food and great wine. Well, at one point of time, Greek wine wasn't known that much, but I would say in the recent years, they have done wonders with their formulations and growth and production, and they have come out with some wonderful wines, and I must recommend some of them to you that you should try them. And yes, great people. I have some friends over here who also are from Greek, I would say, ancestry, and the colors of West haven't taken over them. They are still the same warm people as they are known to be in their native land. And last and not the least, because you are traveling with the chamber, there are people whom you would either know or you would get to know while on the trip. And the best part is they would still come back to be in Glendale, so you can always hang out with new set of friends that you met at the trip. You also have the opportunity of knowing the chamber much better, gelling with the chamber executives much closely, and also knowing the different initiatives the chamber is taking while on the trip. You might get to meet people from other chambers who have come from other cities from across US and Canada, and it will be a great connection building activity in like-minded people. So I'll just run through the itinerary. You would have been able to get an access of the trip flyer. The trip flyer also has the day-wise itinerary, and I will just run through it quickly with some important or significant spots and things that you will be seeing. A lot of pictures to be shown, to be honest. And I would really encourage you to go through the itinerary in your spare time so that you gather more information about it. And if you have any specific questions, I can always be of assistance even after this presentation. So we arrive in day 1, we depart from US, and day 2, we arrive in Greece. So basically we are flying east. So on the calendar, you are changing the day. That's why it is being depicted as day 2. And you land in Athens. So if I'm going to say that you're flying out of Phoenix, you would be connecting to some international gateway in US, very likely to be JFK. And from there, you would be connecting into an international hub in Europe and then connecting to Athens. So it will have some connection flights, but the maximum travel time, what I can imagine, would not be more than 17 hours one way. But we have to factor in that we would be flying out of Phoenix and coming back to Phoenix. So we have that luxury at our hands. A lot of smaller towns have to do some connections to some other places. At the airport, you would be met by Ventura World's representatives. These are really well-trained and well-articulated people who speak great English, and they would be with you throughout the tour. In some cases, they would not go out with your daily tours, but because you will have some local facilitators, but they would be available at the hotel. The best part about this particular trip is it is what we call as the cruise on land philosophy. So in this case, what happens is we would be staying at the same hotel for the entire duration of the trip, and we would be completely avoiding any frequent check-ins and check-outs. So the best part is you come back in the evening, you still get to meet the same Aventura World representative maybe answering further questions for you, facilitating certain information for you, and most importantly, making your stay much more comfortable. This is the standard luxury coach that we use all across Europe. This is just a representation of what we have. So we hire, what we are doing right now is we have a standard of hiring luxury coaches, which are 50 to 55 seater. But what we are following is a mandate of social distance travel. So in any given coach, we would not have more than 30 passengers. So we have to follow a certain norm of social distancing. If and ever in those times in November, I hope things ease off a bit. But if there are certain rules and things to be followed in the destination, we would keep you apprised of what it is. So for now, we are following the social distancing norm. A 55-seater coach would be occupied maximum up to the limit of 30 passengers only. Okay, so 7 nights in Quineta. So this is where our home would be for 7 nights. So if you see, this is Athens, and Quineta is slightly westwards from Athens, roughly 40 minutes of drive. This makes it really accessible to so many places that we have marked for our daily sightseeing activities. So if you go through the itinerary in your spare time and maybe open up Google Maps, you would see that one day we are going in one direction each for our sightseeing activities. Usually a day is comprises of roughly 8 hours of outdoors, which includes not more than 2 to 2.5 hours of driving, and rest is your sightseeing plus your meal and free time. None of the bus drives are longer than 2.5 hours, which also includes toilet breaks or comfort breaks on the way. So you are kind of located very central, and every evening you come back to the same place. So you feel like home in that place, and you are going in different directions every day. So your scenery also on your way is different. So that also keeps the variety on. So, and this is the aerial view of the resort. The right side of the resort is what we use for the North American travelers. This is the European zone. That's how the resort is divided, the whole resort into. Let me give you a trivia. This particular fall for Greece, starting from end of October till mid-November, all the departures that we have roughly 380 passengers going on this trip all across from US. So Quineta is going to be busy all with just Aventura World travelers for different departure dates. This particular place has a couple of pools, one big restaurant, one sea-facing restaurant, as well as a private beach. It's not a beach like Miami, it's a pebble beach, but it's quite warm. The weather you can expect in this region is very much like Southern California, San Diego kind of weather. So in the month of November, you should expect temperatures somewhere in the mid 60s or 70s. That's what you can expect. I've seen people who fly from California and don't go into the water, but there are people who come from North Dakota or Minnesota. They love the water temperatures. It totally depends upon your capacity to plunge into it. I personally live in Vancouver, and I would go into that water because I know what kind of waters are there in our coast. So yeah, the hotels are quite modern and brightly lit. The rooms, most of them have a great view, and the best part, as I told you, that there is an American wing, there's a European wing. So American wing is slightly more spacious, given what the American clients usually expect their rooms to be. The rooms have very standard and yet upmarket inclusions like hair dryers, flat screen TV, radio, safety box. A lot of the Wi-Fi is always included. There's air conditioning, heating, and so on. There's a mini fridge. You can stuff your things if you want. And also there are options to choose between twin beds and king bed and so on. So while you're making your bookings, you have the opportunity of putting your preference, what kind of a bed configuration you would want in the room, and the room allocations will be done accordingly. There are two restaurants, as I mentioned initially. One of them is where you will usually have your dinner almost every day, and there is one which also has a bar. Now, I'll give you something which is already mentioned in the flyer and not many people take notice of, that wine with all your dinners is included in this particular package. All your meals are included. That's one part. The second part is post your dinner, if you want to hang out at the bar, all the local drinks are also on the house. So anything that you take from the bar, which you can call as local drinks from Greece, are on the house. They're unlimited and on the house. So if you get drunk and you don't go for the sightseeing next morning, the best news is the bus will still come back in the evening. But yeah, you might miss out the sightseeing if you're too drunk or hungover. So, but yeah, it's actually a great way to socialize with so many other travelers. Again, we would be following some social distancing norms as applicable during the time of travel. And that's the second restaurant, as I was mentioning. This is the extension of the bar area in the restaurant format. And this is the patio place for having your breakfast. Most of the breakfasts happen in the patio. And yeah, it's quite a relaxing, quite a slow-paced place. I was mentioning about the Pebble Beach, so this is how the beach looks like. And you can ask the hotel to set up something for you to lie down and sit, or just take one tarp with you and enjoy. And there you are. I was mentioning that a lot of you can have your breakfasts outside. Okay, we do the city tour of Athens on day 3. We have the opportunity of going Athens once again towards the end, where we have free time to roam around the city. But initially, in the initial part of the trip, you do a proper day sightseeing tour. So if you think that you might be missing out on free time to just buy souvenirs, you will definitely have the opportunity on the last day. And this is also good because once you do some sightseeing and touring around the city, you will get your bearings right. You will understand the directions of a large city. And once you go the next time, you will have some reference points to check out the place by yourself. The tour takes you to so many amazing sites. The first stadiums of the modern Olympic Games. We do know that Greece was the birthplace of the Olympics, but this is the birthplace of the modern Olympics also. And this particular stadium is still in use. It's an amazing setting, and the Greek people are really proud of this whole legacy that they have. Great important sites. I would really urge you to check more about it. But one thing that we ensure is that you are always accompanied by a local licensed guide who has done these trips many a times, and who also is proficient in handling American groups. So they would be the best people to answer these questions. I might sound like the best storyteller over here, so I would refrain from telling anything about these places. Just showing you pictures is what is my job. Some key places definitely of importance: Parliament and the Memorial of the Unknown Soldier. Every hour there is the change of guard that happens, and the guide will ensure that you hit the spot right on time. So it's a great ceremony to watch. And this is what it looks like. So it's not only the Buckingham Palace, which has the famous funny looking guards, it's this place too. In Athens, we also go to what they call as the Academy and the National Library. There's a lot of places in the same boulevard, you can call, which are of great historical importance. And a lot of American buildings that you will see are actually inspired from so many Greek buildings. You will draw the parallels once you are there. The Plateau and the Athens statue at the Academy of Athens, the Constitution Square, and the Acropolis. So there are a lot of these millennia, more than a couple of millennia old buildings also in the city, which is juxtaposed with a modern city right around it. We also do a tour of the Parthenon, the formal temple of the Athenian Acropolis. Again, an amazing place to visit and conclude your sightseeing in Athens. And then you will have a lot of photo ops because of the sunset in the evening, as while you are concluding your day and then making your way back to the hotel. Day 4, we go in a different direction in the Peloponnese Peninsula. So this would be an hour-and-a-half drive, and then we see the rural side of Greece and stepped farms and slight hilly areas in the Peloponnese Peninsula. Some great ancient sites of the city rich in gold, as they call, the Lion's Gate. These places are really, really old and still really well kept. I would once again, as I say, a lot of people who have traveled on this tour have mentioned that the guide makes this place come alive. In the picture, you might not be able to relate to it, but the guide does that magic to the trip. The Beehive Royal Tomb, as you can see in the picture, and this is one of my favorites in the whole slideshow. So this is the ancient theater of Epidaurus. They even still do some demonstration where somebody flips a coin over here and you sitting over here can listen. So, and this place, this amphitheater is still in use for various events and concerts, but obviously on limited number of people. The acoustics of this place are amazing. You can, a child whispering over here can be heard at this tier easily, let me tell you. So the next day we have the Nafplion, one of the prettiest and most romantic towns in Greece. So now from the hilly terrain in the rural setting, you're now going in the direction which is more of the coastal setting. So you will see the fishing towns and the sites from the high cliffs of the fishing town and some amazing quayside cafes and boutiques. So this is more of the posh area, the posh shopping areas, and beautiful decorations. Olive tasting. Now, in all of our trips, what we have is one concept of what we call as the cultural discovery, whereby we try to incorporate 2 or 3 different activities which give you an opportunity to have an insight into the culture. One of the activities in Greece is the olive tasting, which is not just olive oil tasting, but also understanding about sorting and extraction, and also some scientific formulations that goes into making olive oil, and how the harvesting is done, and what is used for extracting oil, and what is used for direct consumption, and so on. So this is more of like a proper workshop into how things are done in a very traditional way, but still incorporating some modern machines. And it's actually a great, way to understand where the best quality olive oil in the world comes from. Day 5, this is a different kind of a day. You would be doing a crossing of the Corinth Canal. So Corinth, not by this boat. This is just how the quayside will look like. So this is the Corinth Canal, which actually connects the Isthmus of Corinth and the Peloponnese Peninsula. So the peninsula is basically separated by this canal, and this is again several hundred years old. It's proper rock cut. You can see how it is, and this is the ferry that you would be taking. You would be also taking this bridge on a daily basis, whereby going back and forth from east to west doing your trip. So you would see the Corinth Canal every day, and on the day 5 you would actually be doing the crossing of the place. These are some pictures. This is something really, really amazing. Greece, as a country, in the ancient times, all these cliffs and all these sea faces were made by volcanic activity. So a lot of these geological layers are also of interest to people who like the subject. And out of the cultural discovery series, we have another activity, which is the ouzo tasting. So ouzo is a local alcohol produced in Greece. If you like it, if you don't like it, it's okay, but don't let the Greek people know that you don't like it, because then they take an offense about it. So just take a sip and say, yeah, it is great. Enjoy the food. The fresh Mediterranean food is always a great accomplice. And maybe if you have taken down 2 to 3 drinks, then you start liking it. Obviously, you will not have a sense of what is of dislike to you. So yeah, it's absolutely fine to feel a little tipsy after having it. But ouzo ouzo tasting is part of one of our cultural discovery activities during the trip. And there are a lot of photo moments. Again, we don't try to make a day too much regimented. You might see that I'm running through some things which make it sound as if you're doing one thing after the next, but it is very slow paced. Just the way the culture of Greece is, that's the way the trip is. So I'm just pointing out the places of interest. The distances aren't that big. It's not a big country as US. The entire country of Greece would be smaller than Texas. I would say it's somewhere in the size of Arizona, to be honest. But it has a lot of islands in it, but we are not going to the islands except for Santorini. So you can imagine it's not too much of distances. It's very slow paced. The people are never in rush. If you sit in a cafe, the waiter would never come running with a bill so that you pay and get up. They would let you sit till the time you want to. So that's the culture over there. Okay, now day 6 is the optional tour to Delphi. It is also part of the early bird discount tours. So we have an early bird discount that is running and which is valid till now. I will go through the details of the early bird cutoff date once we are there. But what exactly early bird is that it gives you $100 off on the price. So the price that you are seeing right now is what the $100 off is. But it also gives you this trip free alongside it. If you don't reserve your spot while this early bird is on, the price goes up by $100 and this trip becomes a paid trip. So Delphi is north of Kenetta, where we are. If you're not taking this trip, you have all the time free to be enjoying at the resort and enjoying the beach. Otherwise, you can take this trip. I really encourage people to do it. And if it's available for free, just for reacting fast, why not? And the different places that it is also inclusive of lunch if you're on this trip, because you would be outdoors and your lunch will be arranged in Delphi. People staying back at the hotel will be having their lunch at the hotel. And there are so many ancient sites to be seen, treasury of Athenians, and people who really study stuff about Egypt, about Greece, know what significance this place has. The other trip that we have is a trip to Olympia, where you would be seeing the ancient stadium, the actual ancient Olympic Games that took place many millennia back. And these are some of the places that you would be seeing in the Delphi Museum. So this is the Olympia optional tour on day 7. And you can check out all the details of the optional tours on the trip flyer. It's available. It's also available on the trip link that the chamber would have shared. So this is the birthplace of the ancient Olympic Games and the Olympia Temple of Hera, the Temple of Zeus. And if you see this arc, this is the finish line for the ancient marathon. So the race, the modern time race, as we call as marathon, this is where the race used to conclude in the ancient Olympic Stadium. This is what the site looks like right now. And as I said, the guides will make this place come alive compared to me. Day 8, we again go back to Athens for a half-day tour for the Museum of Acropolis. And we also go to the new Museum of Acropolis, which is also built on an ancient site altogether. So this is an amazing thing to do. You would see so many artifacts from the Bronze Age time, of the Roman Empire, of the Byzantine Athens, and so on. And you'll also have the opportunity of tasting a lot of local delicacies, because after the Acropolis tour, you would have, after lunch, you will have free time to enjoy Athens by yourself. So while you are in the museum, you're right in the town center, and there are many things to explore on foot by yourself. The best part of going to any European country is they're always very pedestrian friendly. You can check out the local markets. Great produce, you can buy stuff from there, not a problem. It's always fresh produce that you will see. If you want to stuff up your mini fridge, this is a good time to buy some local citrus fruits, definitely. And also great time to do some shopping. And if you're not doing the The Santorini extension, day nine is when you depart for Athens and back to the airport for the flight back home. So what is included is the flights. The price is $3,199 on the EBD, sorry, on the early bird discount, and it goes up by $100, and the Delphi tour becomes paid. The cutoff date is April 16th. And if you want to extend your trip to Santorini, all the people who are going to Athens on the day, the other people will take a flight from Athens to Santorini on the same day. So the entire group goes to Athens. The people coming back to US fly to US. The people going to Santorini fly to Santorini. So, and the extra price for Santorini trip is $799 per person. Santorini is an island towards the south in the Aegean Sea, and it's an entirely volcanic island with really steep cliffs all across the coast. So the views are really amazing, and the construction. These are, you can say the picture postcards of Greece are full of pictures from the Santorini island. On the day 10, counting from day 1 when we arrived when we started from US, we have the Santorini island tour. We visit a lot of places like the monastery of Prophetis and some amazing viewpoints. We also go to the little village town called Spygros. We also go to the Greek wine museum. When we started, I said that Greeks were really not proud of their wine, but now with a lot of research and a lot of understanding of wine going into it, they have produced some great batches, so you can always enjoy that. We also go to a neighboring town called Oia, and it sounds like Oia in how we say in the American English, so that's how it is. So it's a very cool place. This is all stepped place. If you can walk, this is an amazing place. It has got all those cobblestone paths with very gentle slopes, but yes, there's a little bit of up and down going in this place. But it's really great to check out. It's all colorful with some lovely artifacts, a lot of small cafes and things, a lot of activity bustling around everywhere. It's a fishing area. And interestingly, right after when we conclude this trip, I would say a month after we conclude this trip, all these islands are more or less deserted for 3 months. And they again come alive once again in March. So for December, January, and February, there's hardly any activity in these seas because the water become really rough. This picture was taken by one of my senior colleagues in Aventura last year, I think 19th of November. So it's a great indication of what a sunny day would look like in the month of November. And then once you conclude your trip in Santorini, that would be day 11, and you would depart from Santorini to Athens and back to United States. And just running through some pictures. Okay, so visas, you don't need a visa till the time you are a US or Canadian citizen. So going to Greece does not require a visa. However, I would really urge you to check the validity of your passport. When I say validity of passport, it should be valid 6 months beyond the travel date. So the travel date is 6th of November. If you add 6 months to it, that becomes 6th of May 2022. Your passport should be valid beyond 6th May 2022. That's point 1. And point 2 is obviously it should have 2 blank pages in it. That's the only requirement. If either of the conditions are not fulfilled, it is always recommended to get a new passport because you need 2 blank pages and 6 months of validity beyond your departure date in your passport. Otherwise, you don't need visa. You just walk into the country and you're welcome if you're carrying a US or a Canadian passport. How to sign up? There are 2 ways of doing it. Number 1 is the paper form. So this is where it is. If you see the flyer, the last page of the flyer is the paper registration, and there is also an online registration. It is your choice what you want. The paper registration obviously takes at least 2 business days for actioning. The online registration happens instantaneously. That's the only difference. So you put your full name as in your passport and your date of birth, as well as your passport number, the country of issue, the expiration date, your address, and if you are rooming with somebody, put your travel partner's name. If you're taking the optional tour, so if you book this tour by April 2nd, or if you just put the deposit by April 2nd, the Delphi tour is included. If you go beyond April 2nd, the trip goes up by $100 and the Delphi tour becomes payable. So that's part A. If you want the Olympia tour, you can take that, or if you want a free day, you can opt out of it. You put everything over here, you total it up, and that gives you your final tour price. There is also an insurance. I will come to it in just a moment, but I just wanted to tell you that it is great to avail the early bird discount. So if you want to put your name in the trip, the only thing that is required upfront is $600 of deposit, and the balance to be paid by the date of August 6th, 2021. So when I started the presentation, and for the people who joined a bit late, one of the things I mentioned was that Aventura World is an organization which is ever changing, ever adapting, and very nimble. So in the old days, in the normal times, we used to have a different cancellation policy, but now we changed according to the times. One of the things that we wanted to offer to all our passengers was a confidence that their money, their time, and everything is safe, and most importantly, they do not lose their deposit if there are certain changes because of the COVID uncertainty. So what we did was we created a cancellation policy for what we call as cancel for any reason. There is a caveat in it, which is you can cancel for any reason as far as 121 days before departure. So let's say if you register yourself today and pay those $600 reserving your spot, and if you don't feel that you would be able to travel 4 months, which is 121 days before departure, you just drop us an email or just drop the chamber an email that you don't want to travel. No questions will be asked, and your deposit money will be sent back to you from whichever method of payment you paid us. So no questions asked. And after that, also the cancellation policy is quite relaxed. So that gives you an opportunity to at least plan in advance, avail the offer, and if it does not work out, you can always opt out. The second way is the travel protection insurance. So I will quickly run through it. So Aventura offers through our coveted partners, Generali and CSA Insurance, what we call as the travel insurance or the trip interruption and cancellation insurance. The link of this insurance is on our website. You can just go to aventuraworld.com and you will find a tab which says insurance. This insurance covers trip cancellation due to accident, sickness, or death in your immediate family, as we call it, next of kin. Any medical on the trip, you can check the coverage, as I said, on the PDF on the website. Trip interruption, trip delays, missed connections, emergency medical evacuation, lost baggage and personal effects, baggage delay. There is also a toll-free number for CSA, and you can use the reference code as G-Tour02 once you call them, and you can discuss things. For example, if you know that you're going to take insurance and you want to compare it with some other insurance provider, if your credit card companies through which you are paying for the tour is also offering insurance, and you want to compare that with what we are offering, you can always call these guys, and they are the best people to answer any questions related to coverage and exigencies and so on. My job over here is to encourage you to waste this money. Why I want you to waste this money is so that you don't use it. You avail it, but you don't use it. Because if you're not using insurance, which means your trip was successful. So I always urge people to waste this money, because even if it was normal day-to-day life going on a year back or something, insurance was always recommended, always recommended. Now, coming back to the booking form, so once you get the total in your trip, the insurance is based on the final price of your tour. So if your tour price is between 3,000 to 3,500, the insurance value would be 221. If it's in the next bracket up to 4,000, 252, and so on. So if you're adding Santorini, if you're also adding Olympia, you might be in this bracket, and so on. And that's how you will be calculating your deposit amount. One of the important things about the cancellation policy is you can get your deposits and all the money paid back if you cancel 121 days before departure. However, the insurance premium is non-refundable, because that is paid to the insurance company and not to us. So we can't commit something that is not even charged by us. Okay, and after that, there is an option 2, which is booking online. So again, you can use our website, and there is this link on the website called as aventuraworld.com/booking. And you would, as a new user, you will create a user ID for yourself, and also you would be doing this. They would send you this. Let me get rid of this thing. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So you would be entering your name and email ID and creating a password. A lot of people are concerned that a travel company is taking their email ID and would be sending them marketing emails. Well, we don't, because we dedicatedly work with Chambers. We don't work as an online travel agency. So all the emails that you will get from us would be invoices and payment confirmations, and no other promotions that we run. We would not trouble you with all the marketing mailers. But this is important to share your email, because all your final documents, your air tickets, your invoices and receipts will be emailed to you. So please enter a legible email ID that you frequently check. And once you create a registration, an email will be sent to you, and you will confirm it, and then you will be reaching the login page. And this is where you would be entering the booking ID. Now, booking ID is available on the form, which is IQHM. You will be able to see that. So once you enter the booking ID over here, you would enter the booking page. And this is really self-explanatory and very easy. The best part to this booking page is if the chamber happens to work with us once again, and if you use the same login, most of your details would already be there, and you can just check if your passport details are same, and you can proceed. You can also download a PDF version of this brochure from here. And there are certain screens that you will proceed to, which will be about if you want us to book your flights from a different gateway, just do an entry over here. Let's say, for example, you want to fly from LA. We will suggest you a pricing accordingly, but this trip is definitely planned out of Phoenix. About room occupancy, whether you are single, whether you are doing a twin or a double or something like that, you can mention it in this section. If you're going for any optional tours, the best part is the computer will do all the total and calculations for you, not like the form where you have to do the manual addition. And then if you want to choose the travel protection insurance, and obviously you review your order and make the payment on a secure link right away. And that's for the trip. So if you are excited, you are most welcome to join us for this amazing trip in the year 2021. And let me tell you, this is going to be one of the biggest travel quarters that we are seeing after a long time. So I'm open to questions. The only thing is, if you can direct your questions through the chat, and we can do them one by one. And if you're struggling with the chat, we can obviously take them up by switching on your microphone. So Aubrey, if you want to take over the questions, and I will answer them.
Sure. I'll just give everybody a minute here if they are typing away in the chat box. But man, that was a lot of great information. Thank you for sharing that with us. It looks so fun.
Thank you. Okay, if anybody has any questions,
I do have one. You did show twins with a roll-in bed. So if we had a friend who doesn't get a friend, can 3 of us be in a room?
Mm-hmm.
Does that affect the price?
Sure. There are 2 ways to do it. Yes, there is an option to have an extra person, but the extra person would still sleep on a roll-in bed for the same price that you are paying if you want to interchange. So that is one way of doing it. Or the person can just pay a single supplement. It's slightly higher price, but they will have the room all to themselves. That's second way. The third way is, if in the chamber you come across somebody else who is also traveling as a single and would like to pair up, because the chamber can, make those introductions. So that's the third way to pair up with that person. So you can use the extra bed option for the third person. You can ask the third person to pay the single supplement and have the room all for themselves, or reach out to the chamber to find somebody else who's also traveling as a single and would like to share the room. So all the 3 options are possible.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question on the chat, which is, what if my husband and I want to book?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm reading to the chat also, because there's a question over there. I will take that up and then take the next one. Sorry. So I have a question over here from which says that, what if my husband and I want to book, but we may add our 22-year-old grandson later? How will that work? So as you see that your grandson can be added easily. The only catch over here is, if you are putting your deposits before 2nd of April, you would definitely avail the early bird discount. If your grandson joins after 2nd of April, the early bird discount goes away. We can see if it can be extended for a week or so, but it cannot be extended for a month or beyond that. And obviously, as I was explaining about a triple occupancy or using a room all by himself, that is the second part to the answer, as we've already discussed about it. Okay, can we have the next question?
Yeah, I had someone direct message me one. My friend who is not a chamber member shared this trip. I'm no longer a chamber member, so can either of us go on this trip?
Well, yes. So trips are for the community, not for chamber members. So chambers represent local businesses, but the chambers also represent local community. So businesses become members, community is just associated with the chamber's event. So you're most welcome, not a problem.
Okay. And another one came in, just to review, if we room 3 together, we all pay the same price.
Yes, you do pay the same price. And that's the reason I mentioned that somebody who's paying the identical price would not love to sleep on a roll-on bed every day. So if you want a room all by yourself, it is always encouraged to take that for yourself. It might be a slightly higher price, but that's how it is. Otherwise, we can offer you, one person extra is absolutely fine. Like a triple occupancy is absolutely fine. And you can rotate each night who sleeps on the extra bed.
So a single price is, or a single is higher price?
Yes, because you are one person who is occupying a twin occupancy room. So you basically pay like 1.5 times the price. Bringing in a travel partner is always good. So you can say lonely people pay the price of being lonely. Or single people, not lonely. It's just one poor joke.
That's all the questions I see right now. Did anyone else have any questions?
Aubrey?
Yep.
Can you hear me? This is Yolanda.
Yep.
So I have a question for the presenter. So if we added our grandson to our room and for him to stay with us because he's poor, and so what's the cost going to be for him? The same as us individually, or we're all three going to be in the same room?
Yes, you all three are going to be in the same room. So let's break it down. So your cost is inclusive of your flights, your sightseeing, your meals, and your stay. Now, bringing in extra person is only adding an extra bed to the room, but rest of the services are availed individually. So yes, the same price. So it's going to be the $3,199 for your grandson also.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's been wild.
Any other questions at all?
So I just wanted to add things about things like currency, things like cell phones and stuff. So you will have, so in Greece, people use euros. You will have the opportunity of converting euros in US, or you can do it while you arrive there. Let's say you think of a budget of spending $400 or equivalent of it. I would say you can spend half of it or more than half of it on yourself through plastic currency, which is credit cards, which can be used internationally. And some of it for like street vendors, or for example, if you're going around in Athens, you should keep half of it as cash, and that is more than enough. Electronic money is acceptable at almost all places. Also, money changing facilities would be available if you want it over there, which is absolutely easily accessible, and you can ask your guide or the bus driver to facilitate that. Before you're going, if your credit card company requires you to notify, then do notify them that you're traveling internationally, and at least it will not block your card while you use it at an international location. Also, if the other part of it, which is cell phones, because you are staying at the same hotel for all the 7 nights, you will have Wi-Fi access free of cost. So you can use connections, phone calls back home with WhatsApp or other facilities of video conferencing. But if you want, you can always go for a calling card or something. You can grab that at a local market or even at the airport while you land in Athens, if you really feel the need of doing that. The electric sockets in Europe are different than United States. So if you want to carry a converter adapter with you, you can find it at any travel shop or pharmacy or even at the airport. And that is really handy, especially for charging your cell phones and camera batteries and so on. You would have noticed that the hotel already provides hair dryer and stuff, so you don't need an extra adapter just for using a hair dryer, but mostly for your cell phone charging or a tablet or laptop charging and so on. Also, the weather, I did mention the weather is very similar to what it is in Southern California, somewhere around Long Beach and San Diego. That region, it's pretty much similar, the weather pattern. In the month of November, early November, the temperature is in the range of 70, 75 Fahrenheit. So it's pretty much what it is right now in Glendale, I believe. and but it's slightly more humid because of the coastal conditions. And also, as we are going into more and more vaccinations with each passing week, currently the travel advisory is that Greece is open for American travelers. The only thing currently required is for you to take a COVID test 72 hours before traveling, and again while coming back too. However, with vaccination, those things are going to change. So we are monitoring the situation each and every day, that if you have a vaccine, do you still need that test? And what I've came to know is you don't need a test if you're vaccinated. But the travel advisory on the US website is yet to change. It's the CDC who mentioned that you don't need a test. So let us wait for the travel advisory to change for that sense. Otherwise, Greece is open to travel. Egypt is open to travel. France is open to travel. Spain is open to travel. If you comply with those things, they are, when I say open to travel, which means they are open to travel without that quarantine rule. That is out. Only the testing rule is currently in place, but the testing is out of question if you are vaccinated. So that's how it is. And I'm very sure by November we would have achieved the vaccination targets and everybody would be in that bracket of vaccinated people. But keep an eye on the travel advisory. That is one thing. And as I mentioned, we still have the cancel for any reason 4 months out from the departure date. So if things change, that is one possibility. How we also handled it last year was, if somebody had paid the money and the chamber asked us to reschedule the trip, we just use that money as a credit for a future travel. So we can postpone it. It's absolutely doable. We are, as I said, we are nimble and flexible in doing that. So if there are any other questions, you would have the chamber's contact. You can just drop an email to them. Why I'm asking you to do that is because, firstly, every day I'm on my phones, and if you call my phone and you get frustrated that this guy is not picking up the phone, so please don't complain, because that's my role, to keep on doing these presentations and talking to people. But direct your questions to the chamber. The chamber might have duplicate questions, so they might be able to answer it. If they don't have the answer, I'm always there to answer those questions. It's very easy and straightforward procedure. I can share the insurance document with the chamber, and you can circulate it. The recording of this presentation will also be available on whichever forum the chamber chooses it to be. So you can refer back to all the conversation once again on the recording.
There was one more question that came in. Do we need a certificate of vaccination or test?
I think you are getting digital certifications as well as paper ones. You should carry them if you have been inoculated. Yes. Some countries are calling it as vaccine passport. Some of them are calling certificate. So whatever is the nomenclature be, that's the proof that you're vaccinated. Okay, there's a question that I believe the EU is looking at vaccine certification. It's not a blanket rule. Some countries, yes, some countries, no. Greece is not stressing on it. Germany is one of them who certainly wants it. Yeah. But as I said, right now we are sitting in early March. Maybe in June, they would also change their rules. So it's ever changing. But one thing is, the travel advisory is not stopping people from traveling. One of our groups from Mississippi is traveling next week to Egypt, and they want to travel. So nobody's stopping them. Yeah. And then this is not a bluff. I mean, I can show you their tickets that they are traveling. This is how it is. Okay. So if we have run out of questions, I'm always available, and people can always refer back to the recording, and we will leave them for the evening. It's quite late. It's supper time. So thank you everybody for joining, and hopefully it was enjoyable. And I would really invite you to, if you're interested to book for the trip, avail the early bird discount, avail the free optional tour of Delphi, and most importantly, encourage other people to join in, because it's a great opportunity to mingle with Chamber and other people in the community. And I can see a lot of people in the same age group in this presentation, so you might find some good friends on the trip. Why not?
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight and learning a bit more about our chamber trip. Hopefully we'll see you all there. And like Vibe said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to the chamber, and I will send out the recording of this as well, so you can rewatch it if you need to. But thank you, everyone. Have a great evening, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Good night. Thank you. Bye.